Thank you, James. Good to be here on another beautiful summer sunny day in San Francisco. I hope you put a lot of sunblock on to get through the ceremony. Or as we said in the Navy, a haze gray day, not quite underway, but it is a good Navy day as well. James, thank you very much. It is quite possible I will be briefly interrupted by a Coast Guard flyover, so if I stop talking and it gets noisy, that's what's going on. And I'm trying to read my phone here on my notes. It is an honor to be here this morning as a Bay Area native and Navy veteran. I can't think of a better place to be anywhere today than right here in what is truly a sacred, beautiful, reverent place, the cemetery here in the Presidio. Everyone who signs up for the military, no matter their job, knows that deep down there's always the possibility they will put their lives on the line for their country. Certainly when I signed up to be a Navy broadcast journalist, I never thought that would happen, but I ended up spending part of my time on a guided missile cruiser patrolling the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, being shadowed by Soviet warships, and eventually involved in armed conflict with Muammar Gaddafi's forces off the coast of Libya. Did not expect that when I signed up to be a Navy journalist. We all raised our hands to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And some of those service members made that sacrifice they pledged to uphold, and that's why we're here today. We are here to honor them and to honor their families who have also made a life-changing sacrifice.
And they were fighting a series of battles to the Battle of the Bulge. When I was at the Battle of the Bulge for that anniversary a few years ago, a veteran who had fought there was 97 years old, and he spoke so beautifully about the camaraderie and some of the things you talked really about, Ken, in your experience, but again, a longer time ago and in the heat of a terrible, terrible battle. And at the end of his remarks, he said, I just have one thing to say to all of you. And he had the President of Germany apologizing. We had the King of Belgium, the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, you know, all of the heads of state of European countries and not only heads of state, but heads of government. And he said, I just have one piece of advice to all of you. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. And so again, when I go on this delegation next week, the 80th anniversary, we suspect there'll be fewer veterans. Last week I was at the French embassy. They had 10 veterans there. One was 104. He was from Baltimore, so we had a lot in common to talk about. 104. There were several 102, 97, and the rest. All so proud, so patriotic. We owe them all so much. My daughter Christine always brings this, and she's here today, but she always brings this little container which has sand from the beach of Normandy. Precious to us all for the sacrifice. But it's not just about Normandy, it's emblematic of the patriotism. As you said, Ken, so many people from so many parts of our country, from so many countries. We had people of that Japanese origin fighting and freeing up the camps there while their families were in internment camps. We had, of course, our Italian ancestors who were there very proudly fighting for America. And we had all people from all over the world who were the beautiful diversity of America going back to Europe and fighting for freedom. And we had a great percentage of Native Americans who were in that fight as well. So we have a great deal to be proud of then and now. And so when we come together here, we frequently quote Lincoln and what he told us to fulfill our promise to care for those who have served in our nation's military and their families, caregivers and survivors. And one other thing I want to report to you, in addition to our travels to Normandy, is that in the past couple of years we passed the PACT Act, and then now it is coming to fruition. It's not just about passing a bill under the leadership of Joe Biden, it's about the implementation of it. Many of you know that this was necessary because hundreds of millions of our veterans were affected by burn pits. And this legislation enabled them to just immediately qualify for benefits. And nearly 1 million already have. Another million are in line to qualify. But several 100,000 have already received their benefits. And on top of that, several 1,000 veterans have showed up at the VA who never showed up before, like 750,000. So all of this is in recognition of how much we all owe you, how much we have not lived up to it with the burn pits, for example, and that includes Agent Orange and Badwater at Camp Lejeune and all the rest. But the more we hear from you, the more we know what needs to be done in a very important way. So it is, again, Memorial Day. It's a day when we honor those who lost their lives. It's also a day when we recognize the service of our veterans. I know there are many veterans here today. You don't have to wave, but we can cheer you to our veterans who are here today. And to our hidden heroes, our caregivers and families who have cared for our veterans. So we have a lot to be grateful for. Today I have on my poppy, but I usually have on this pin. And since I mentioned Lincoln, I'll refer to him again. This is a pin that I usually wear, and on it says, "One nation, one destiny." And one country, one destiny. This was what was embroidered in Lincoln's coat the night he died. He probably wore that coat all the time because it looked very familiar. One country, one destiny. And when we see this beautiful flag and we pledge to it, we have the national anthem. I mentioned the Baltimore connection. My national anthem was written in Baltimore. One line in there that I love so much is, "Proof through the night that our flag was still there." Proof through the night that our flag was still there. And as we pledged earlier, with liberty and justice for all. So we have to work together, to come together, one nation, one destiny, to honor the vision of our founders, the aspiration of our children, and the sacrifice of our men and women in uniform. May we all be committed to working together to build a future worthy of the sacrifice of all of you. I don't know if we say Happy Memorial Day, but it's wonderful to be with you on Memorial Day. Thank you for that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Always an honor and a privilege, and